Okay, so how did I lose 31 pounds in 8 weeks? And I'm gonna give you guys some really practical advice. You probably saw the thumbnail of this is like my overall fitness journey. At one point in my life, I weighed 120 pounds before I'd ever worked out or exercised at all. At another point in my life, I was actually overweight. I was 220 pounds. Just to give you some context, I'm 5'7". So I was, really fat. And now, I'm around 170 pounds. I'm pretty lean. I'd say I'm probably around 12 and a half, 13% body fat. And incredibly strong still, even though I've lost quite a bit of weight over the last, it's been, I would say, the last 6 months, but most of my weight loss, I went from 220 to 205. It took me about 4 or 5 months, and then I went from 205 to 174 in about 8 weeks. And so just to kind of give you guys the proper kind of framework here, a lot of what I'm going to talk about is stuff that is universal. So I don't care if you have insulin sensitivity. I don't care if you think you have a thyroid issue, especially if you've never actually had blood testing done. I don't really care about any of that stuff. What I'm going to give you guys is stuff that works. It doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter where you live. If you do these things, basically there's about 5 things. If you do these 5 things, you will get results. And for the most part, you don't have to do that much work. So number one, and it's going to sound kind of weird to say this as the first thing, but you have to be getting enough sleep. You need to be getting not just enough hours of sleep, but you actually have to be getting quality sleep. So I'll have a link below. It's my affiliate link. I don't make any money off of it. I get like a free month, and you get a free month for this device, which is called a Whoop. Now, there's a lot of devices out there. You can use an Apple Watch, you can use an Oura Ring, you can do all of this stuff. The reason why I use a Whoop is because I don't have to take it off when I'm working out, and I can calculate how strenuous my workouts were so that I have an accurate idea of how taxed my body is, and this will automatically update when I should go to sleep and when I should wake up to maximize my deep and my REM, rapid eye movement sleep. And the reason why this is so important is because even if you eat right and even if you exercise, if your sleep is off, you will not lose weight. And beyond that, over the long haul, there's tons of research out there that basically shows not getting adequate sleep and not getting adequate deep sleep essentially leads to you dying earlier. It leads to insulin resistance. It leads to a lot of big picture problems that basically everybody wants to avoid. Nobody wants to have heart attacks. Nobody wants to have diabetes. Nobody wants to die early. So tracking your sleep and getting enough sleep is actually the bedrock of the whole thing that allowed me to lose weight, especially to lose as much weight as I did as quickly as I did while maintaining muscle mass. So number one, make sure that you're getting good sleep. Like I said, I'll put a link below. If you sign up using this link, you get a free month. I think they include the actual device. You don't have to pay for the device, and then it's something like, I don't know what it is. It's like 20 or 30 bucks a month or something like that to use it. Trust me when I tell you, spending like a buck a day to get good sleep and to really get insight into what leads to getting good sleep is super important. And there's a few things as an example I can tell you that are crucial to getting good sleep. Number one, avoid bright lights before you go to bed if you can for at least 3 hours. So at my place in Puerto Rico, in my apartment, I actually have these lights that change color. So as it gets later in the day, they shift from being bright white lights to eventually being totally red. So there's no blue light at all. But if you're not able to do that, they're expensive. They're like 50 bucks per light bulb. Then you have to buy the system. It's like just to do one room of your house is something like $300 or $400. It's pretty expensive. If that's out of your budget, a better thing to do is get some blue light blocking glasses. These are usually somewhere around 100 to 200 bucks. There's some cheaper versions. Make sure that the ones you buy, though, there's a company I think called True Dark. There's another company called Swannies. Those are both great options. They're actually proven to work as opposed to just saying they block blue light, but you don't really know if they do or not. The interesting thing, by the way, with blue light blocking glasses, I've had people try these and they told me like literally within like 15 to 20 minutes they start falling asleep because your body is like you're tricking your body into thinking it's already dark out, which it probably is, but you're not getting any interference. And one more interesting point, by the way, about blue light is there was a study that just came out a few weeks ago that indicates that women who are experiencing higher levels of white and blue light prior to bed are more likely to get breast cancer. So it's pretty fascinating what a difference it makes to your general health just by blocking out blue light before bed. Obviously, there's other things you can do. Take a hot shower. Um, One of the things you can do is having sex before bed leads to deeper sleep. So there's a lot of cool like little hacks, but like get a device. If you don't use Whoop, it's fine. I don't care. Like I said, I don't make any money off of sharing that. I get a free month. Woo. But like otherwise, it's something that I've used for I think now it's been 4 years, and it's incredible what kind of data I get around my sleep. And I've basically nailed down that if I do a certain, basically a few steps before bed, I'm almost always guaranteed to get an 80 to 90% sleep score. So number one, make sure that you're getting enough sleep and make sure that you're getting enough deep sleep. Now, number two, and this is going to be pretty controversial because people have a lot of ideas around what the right diet is. Some people are like, I should be vegan, or I should be vegetarian, or pescatarian, or I should be fruitarian, or I should do carnivore, or I should do blah, blah, blah. What I've found works, no matter who you are, is a ketogenic diet. So the general framework for this is typically really high fat, moderate amounts of protein, and almost no carbohydrates. I like to keep my diet simple. I eat for function, not so much for taste. So I like to do a bunch of eggs in the morning, usually about 6 to 8 eggs, depending on the time of year. You can add in some cheese if you're not, lactose intolerant. Cook it with some grass-fed butter. As much as possible, get grass-fed anything. Don't do the processed feedlot butters and stuff, and don't, whatever you do, don't use margarine at all. But what I've found is if I'm eating a ketogenic diet, there's a few interesting things that happen. So number one, my energy levels stay pretty consistently like solid all day long. You'll almost instantly lose like 5 to 10 pounds in the first like 7 to 12 days. You'll lose like 5 to 10 pounds almost instantaneously. Now, to be fair, that is mostly water weight, just so you know, because carbohydrates tend to drag water into the body and hold it. It's interesting because carbohydrate, it hydrates the body. So I'll do eggs in the morning. I have like a chicken, like a Greek or Italian, chicken salad for lunch. And when you're getting dressings, by the way, a good tip is make sure to read the ingredients. When I'm at home in Puerto Rico, I usually make my own balsamic vinaigrette, and it's super simple. You take some lemon, you take some balsamic vinegar and some olive oil. And if you want, you can put like some seasonings, put some granulated garlic or something like that in there. But I find it super simple. You just squeeze half a lemon, put the stuff in there, stir it up really good, pour it over the salad, and you're good to go. And then same thing for dinner. And I like to mix chicken with beef. So like I'll either do some steak or I'll do sometimes just ground beef. I'll make like a burger, but with a lettuce wrap. And the good thing about this, by the way, is once you've adjusted, and just so you know, if you've never done keto, the first 3 days, you'll start to see a drag on your energy levels. Day 3 or day 4, you'll usually feel pretty tired. If you drink caffeine, I would say just increase your caffeine intake on those days. Another cool tip when it comes to like if you drink coffee is get some really good clean MCT oil and blend it. It'll make it creamy, and also the MCT oil helps with ketone production, which is what you use when you're not eating carbohydrates for energy. So it'll help to increase your energy levels. It'll give you a good boost. But after you've basically made it through that first 3 days, what's going to happen is your body's going to shift from using carbohydrates to using ketones for energy production. And the interesting thing, by the way, about the ketogenic diet is everybody that uses it loses weight. And if you're already having issues with your insulin, and by the way, step number 3 is getting blood work. I got blood work done, and what I found out was that my insulin levels were like right below pre-diabetic. And to give you some context, I was overweight, but I was eating super clean. I was eating chicken, rice, and veggies. I was having some eggs. I had a little bit of yogurt at the end of the day. So I was eating super clean foods, but even though I was eating clean, I was literally like right below pre-diabetic. So like the good thing about a ketogenic diet is because you're not going to be spiking your insulin if you're already having issues with your insulin, it's going to dramatically reduce that. And the cool thing is, by the way, I can say this even though I'm not a doctor, because if you just Google it, the studies are out there. It is a proven fact that being on a ketogenic diet will lower your blood glucose, your insulin levels. And then number 3 is make sure to get blood work. There are a ton of great clinics out there. I work with a company called Medical Health Institute. I'll drop a link below for you guys to connect with them if you want to work with the same guys that have helped me. The guys that own the company, Carlos and Miguel, are the 2 smartest guys I have met in the health space. I've literally read books on endocrinology, I've read books on peptides, I've read books on health and wellness in general, I've read diet books, like all of the stuff out there. I've done a ton of reading. Those 2 guys, Carlos and Miguel, are the only guys I've met in the health space to date that know more than I do, that I was like actually shocked at what they were telling me. And I'll give you a good example of something that most people don't know. Whey protein actually increases your insulin levels more than eating white rice does. So it's really fascinating. There's things that even I, being somebody who's been in the health industry, that's worked in gyms, that's like really studied this stuff, I didn't know prior to meeting these guys. So if you want to use them, I'll add a link below. Just as a heads up, I am an affiliate for them. I do like earn a commission if you work with them. It doesn't cost you any more money. And by the way, my goal in working with them is that other people get results like I did. Because like I said, I was for 6 months doing everything I possibly could and getting very little results out of it. And at that time, by the way, I was doing, 4 workouts with weights per week. I was doing cardio for 45 minutes a day, 5 days a week, and not really getting any results. It was very, very, very slow. And within, 8, 9 weeks of working with them, I'd already lost the 31 pounds that I needed to lose. And now at this point, if I wanted to, I could literally maintain my current weight for the rest of my life and never have to change anything. So following a ketogenic diet is one of the simplest ways to fix those things that we just talked about. Getting regular blood work is so important. It's crazy if you look at the research around testosterone levels in men. The average male today, 20 to 30 years old, has the same testosterone levels that 60-year-old men did 25 years ago. So really take that into account. At 65, your testosterone typically is going to be lower because you're older. There's not really a need at 65 years old to have higher testosterone because you're not trying to have kids, you're not going to war, you're not out hunting, you're not doing all these things like our ancestors did. But testosterone levels in particular are incredibly low. And a lot of that's due to a number of things. I mean, people don't exercise as much, people are more sedentary, microplastics. There's a good book, by the way, I'll add a link for this in the chat below, called Estrogeneration. That's really fascinating. It talks about how all of these different environmental factors are just crushing men's testosterone levels. So getting blood work done, first of all, it'll identify, number 1, if you have an insulin level like I did. Number 2, are your testosterone levels healthy? Because it's very hard, especially for men, to be able to lose weight and to be able to build muscle if your testosterone is too low. And, average testosterone levels 100 years ago compared to today, it's like the same as having testosterone 100 years ago and having almost none now. So it's super important. Blood work, by the way, I would recommend you guys minimum getting blood work done twice a year. I actually get my blood work done every 3 months to make sure everything's good. I don't want any surprises. If you want to live a long life and to actually enjoy it, there's no better thing you could do with regards to like longevity than to have regular blood work done to make sure your cholesterol's healthy, to make sure your blood pressure's good, to make sure your testosterone's good, to make sure your estrogen is not all out of whack, to make sure that your insulin levels are healthy and everything else that you can get done. Also your vitamin levels. There's a good book. I feel like this is my favorite phrase to say. There's a good book called The Supermind. I think it's called The Supermind Solution by Dr. Mark Hyman. And he talks about mineral deficiencies in the world. And one of the craziest things about mineral deficiencies is that almost everybody on the planet is deficient in at least one, if not multiple minerals. So number 3 is getting blood work done. Number 4 is once you've nailed down the sleep, you're on a ketogenic diet, you're getting blood work done on a regular basis. Number 4 is you need to take the steps necessary to correct any imbalances that you have based off of the blood work that you got done. And for me particularly, one of the things that I found was most of my vitamin levels are healthy. It was interesting, my vitamin D was kind of low, so I have a supplement I take for vitamin D specifically. If you're taking vitamin D, and obviously with everything I'm telling you, one of the reasons why I'm like referring you guys to people like Carlos and Miguel at Medical Health Institute is because you need to talk to a doctor. You need an actual doctor and you need a coach. You need a doctor that can tell you, hey, look, we did your blood work, you're deficient here, you have this issue, and you need to correct these in order to live a full, healthy, happy life. But once you have that, then you need to do some kind of supplementation. Unfortunately, our soil is so depleted that you're not typically going to be able to get all of the vitamins and minerals that you need just from eating a healthy diet. So number 4 is really like whatever imbalances you have, you should be supplementing. I can tell you guys a few things that I'm taking right now. And this is not, by the way, meant to be me telling you what to take. That's why it's so important to get blood work. This is just me telling you what's worked for me. So number 1, I'm taking a really high quality fish oil. I am also supplementing with vitamin D. Because I travel a lot, I've been in about 14 countries in the last 12 months alone. I also take vitamin C on a regular basis because I want my immune system to be as robust as possible. When you're coming in contact with a lot of people from a lot of different countries, your body's being exposed to a lot of different bacteria, viruses, pathogens that you're not going to come into contact with if you're more sedentary. As an example, if you go to the same office every day, you go to the same house every day, your body's going to become immune to a lot of the stressors. I'm constantly moving, so I have to take something to make sure that I'm keeping my immune system incredibly strong. Beyond that, I have a supplement that I take that has something called fortitropin in it, which inhibits myostatin so that when I'm losing weight, I'm not also losing muscle tissue. When your myostatin levels are higher, what will happen is your body will break down muscle tissue for energy because you're in a caloric deficit. So one thing that has made a big impact in me being able to maintain my strength for the most part while still losing weight is taking a fortitropin supplement. And then, like I said earlier about whey protein, like really boosting up your insulin levels. One thing you can do is there's a few brands out there that they have a beef protein isolate. Do your homework on these because there's a lot of supplements in the space that they have a lot of added ingredients. They have stuff in there that keeps it from getting chunky and like all these different oils and things like that that you don't actually want to be consuming. I found one on Amazon. It's like 3 ingredients. It's like the beef protein isolate, cocoa, and like sea salt or something like that. It's super basic. So find something that is as clean as possible. What you want to avoid when it comes to supplementation is getting a bunch of stuff that has all kinds of added ingredients. The simpler it is, the easier it is for you to identify very scientifically what's working and what's not. If you're taking a lot of random things and you don't quite know how it's going to affect your body, you're putting yourself at risk of slowing down your progress, and also of potentially having like weight gain instead of weight loss. There's a lot of products out there that have all these like high oleic sunflower oil or canola oil, or in Europe they call it rapeseed oil, which is crazy. It's crazy to me. I think about that. I'm like, do I really want to put something in my body that the first word is rape? I don't know if I want to consume something called rapeseed oil. So minimize, when it comes to your supplementation, minimize what you're taking based off of what your doctor is telling you to the absolute bare minimum. The goal here, by the way, there's something in medicine, it's called the minimum effective dose, MED. Ideally, take that same framework, that same mindset into everything you do. So if you notice my food, I keep my food very simple. When it comes to my supplements, I only take whatever is like absolutely necessary. I don't try to add to that. I try to keep it as basic as possible. And then the fifth step here, by the way, is make sure that you have effective stress management in place in your life. And this is so crazy because we live in such a fast-paced world. You might be able to hear there's like cars driving by outside. There's, you got friends, you've got family, you have work. Maybe you are trying to start a side business, or you already have a business. You have employees, you've got, your health, you've got all this stuff to try to manage. And one of the problems, and one of the reasons why stress management is such an important part of weight loss specifically, is if you're constantly in a state of stress, and by the way, one of the reasons I use the Whoop is it tells me when I'm going into like a state of high stress. So I have an idea of how often I'm getting stressed, and also what stresses me out, so that I can better manage that and keep my stress levels low. So when it comes to stress management, the things that I've found work the best, number one is have some really basic goals that are important to you that you're working towards at all times. One of the easiest ways to end up feeling very stressed and overwhelmed is to feel like you don't know where you're going, how you're going to get there, or why the things that you're encountering are happening. If you're in this state of just not knowing all the time, you're going to be experiencing high levels of stress. So you need to organize your life in a way that you have some very clear goals. And a simple framework for this is you have fitness goals, you have financial goals, you have family and friend goals, and you have fulfillment goals, things that are important to you to be able to accomplish in your lifetime. So you can use those 4 areas of life to organize your life in a way that you feel like you're in control. It's kind of like if you're sailing in the ocean. If you don't have a sail and the ocean's just tossing you all over the place, it's very hard to feel like you're in control of your life. But if you're a skilled sailor, you know what to move, what to shift, how to move things around so that you're taking the wind and the waves and using them to get where you want to go. So having good, clearly defined goals is super important to having a sense of control in life, because there's going to be a lot of things that happen regardless that are completely out of everybody's control. Like there's things that happen to me every single day I have no control over. I can control how I react to it, but I can't control it happening because it's just part of life that things are unpredictable. So the first part of stress management is really have clearly defined goals. Now the second thing is take control of your schedule. I can't even tell you, I work in the personal development space. I work with people that all day, every day, they are trying to work to create products and services that help people to develop personally. I can't tell you how many people I meet in this space that don't plan their day. They don't even have a day planner. If I say, hey, let me see your schedule, what's your day planner look like? They don't even have one. So get a physical day planner. I have some, I'll post an Amazon. By the way, I'm an affiliate for Amazon. Just so you guys know, I'm an affiliate for a lot of different things. I only share the stuff that I actually use because it's made such an impact for me that I'm like, look, it worked for me, just give it a try. And productivity especially is something that I spend a ton of time on because it's fascinating to me how you can make small tweaks to what you're doing and get incredible results out of it. So I have this day planner here. Let me see if I can even grab this. I have this day planner here. I'll share a link below. made by a company called Clever Fox, got a cool design and everything. Every night before I go to bed, I review my day. So I look at what did I accomplish, what wasn't I able to accomplish, and I think a little bit about why didn't I accomplish this? Was I lazy? Did I procrastinate? Did I, allow other things to interrupt me? Was there something going on that it was out of my control? And unfortunately, that just happened. So I review my day and then I plan tomorrow today. In fact, Jim Rohn, who is a phenomenal speaker, said the best way to start your day is, to plan your day is to do it the day before. So plan out your day. Say, look, okay, tomorrow I've got 24 hours in the day. I'm going to sleep for like 8 of those. I've got 16 hours left. What do I, first of all, have to do? Because we all have obligations, we have responsibilities that we need to meet. So what do I have to do? But also, what can I do that's going to allow me to make progress? Do I need to read a specific kind of book? Do I need to, maybe go through a course that is going to help me to become better at my job or my business? Or do I need to maybe hire a coach? I'm in the coaching business. I sell a really high ticket coaching offer for my mentor, Ty Lopez, where we work with people doing 7, 8, 9 figures to take their business to the next level. If I'm selling that, I'm also buying that. I have a performance coach that I meet with twice a month. I have a coach for every area of my life. One of the best things you can do is when you're planning your day, you're planning your week, you're planning your month, think through what coach do I need in my life that's going to be able to give me the information and hold me accountable to hitting the priorities that I'm setting for myself. So number one, in terms of like stress management, have clearly defined goals. Number two, plan your day out. Do it the day before. It's great. You can set a reminder on your phone. I have a bunch of reminders that go off every day on my phone. One of them is at 5 p.m. every day. I get a reminder to review my day and plan tomorrow. And then, finally, when it comes to stress management, make sure that you're making time for the people that are going to matter 10, 20, 30 years from now. Especially in the business space, entrepreneurs, they tend to be hyper focused. I'm going to build this great business. I'm going to make all this money. I'm going to live in a castle, like crazy cool life and everything. And they get so focused on just making money that they forget to spend time with their wife or their husband. They forget to make time for their kids. They forget to make time for themselves. So when it comes to stress management, make sure that you're putting things on your calendar. Like every week, I have date night with my fiance. I take her, we usually go like something simple. We'll go out to dinner and we'll go see a movie. Or sometimes we just go out to dinner. Sometimes we just go see a movie. Sometimes we'll just go to the mall and just walk around and talk. But make sure that you're putting time on your calendar to actually spend and invest time with the people that are going to be in your life 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 30 years from now. And if your parents are older, let's say they're in their 60s, 70s, 80s, make sure that you're making time to spend with them while they're still here. Life is very unpredictable. You don't know if you're going to be here another year, 5 years, 10 years, another 50 years. Make time for the people that matter the most. What you're going to find, especially if you're a very busy entrepreneur, very busy business person, is that time that you set aside, even though it feels like you're like, oh God, I'm going to make less money, what it will do is it'll actually remind you of why you're doing all this stuff in the first place. It'll actually set you up that you're more motivated, you're more excited, and you're more like you're inspired to push harder when you are working on the business. And if there was one other thing I would say, these are like the 5 things that have helped the most with me in regards to like losing 31 pounds over the last, it's been about 9 weeks now. One other thing I would recommend, and I recommend this all the time, make time for yourself. I find that if you spend 10 to 15 minutes, it's especially good in the morning. Sit down, meditate. If you pray, spend time praying. Make time for yourself. It is so crazy how easy it is. I talk to people all the time. They feel like they're giving all their energy to everybody else, and there's nothing left for themselves, and they're not in touch with who they are. If you don't know who you are, you can't bring your best person, your best self to your business, to your family, to your friends, to, your customers, to the people that matter. So make sure that you make time for yourself. I find spending 10 minutes, 15 minutes every morning, I just meditate. It makes me feel good. I feel centered. I feel in control. It helps, by the way, to like create a sense of focus. It's easier for me to pay attention to one thing for longer periods of time because every day I'm practicing focusing on one thing for like 10 to 15 minutes. If you don't like meditation, by the way, you're like, oh, I'm not that good at it. Just so you know, nobody actually is. If you really sit down and like try to focus on like just your breathing, you notice your brain goes all over the place. I've been meditating for 8, almost 9 years now. I can tell you it still happens to me. But the thing is that I'm not worried about not thinking and I'm not worried about being perfect. All I'm worried about is making time for myself and building my skill of being focused. And in a world that's full of distractions with social media and politics and all these different things that can grab your attention, I don't think there's actually anything you can do for your productivity specifically that's more effective than spending 10 to 15 minutes every day honing the skill of focus. So with that being said, I appreciate, any of you that have stuck around for this whole video. If you haven't yet, there's a button below where you can like this video. Throw a comment, by the way. If there's something that you found has worked really well for your health, post in the comments below, like what made a big difference for you in either losing weight or getting in better shape, having more energy. And I'd really appreciate it if you guys, click to subscribe. I'm going to be putting out content across all of the important areas of life. Your fitness, your finances, family and friends, fulfillment. And I'm going to be really focused on doing everything I can to take what I've learned over the last 13 years of my professional career, the last, 5 of which have been absolutely incredible. I've traveled the world. I've made a ton of money. I've been able to network with some of the smartest people I've met in every country on the planet. I mean, Dubai, France, Germany, Sweden, Norway, Denmark, America, Australia. Like I've been all over the place, and I've gotten fortunately to meet some of the smartest minds in all 4 of those areas. So subscribe wherever the button is on YouTube, and let me know in the comments as well if this helped you. If you do this, by the way, for 8 weeks and you're like, dude, I lost 10 pounds or 20 pounds or 30 pounds and I look great and I feel good, I'd love to hear from you guys. I love hearing people's success stories. Post those in the comments. And as much as possible, like, do what you can. I did a video recently talking about, being a good person doesn't mean that you don't do bad things. It means that you're actively doing things to help other people. I'd love to see you guys in the comments below posting things that you think can help other people as well.